Did you know that Cruella De Ville was originally going to be the villain of this film? And did you know that this was the last Disney film that Milt Kahl animated on? This is 100 Facts about the Rescuers. The Rescuers is the 23rd Disney animated feature film. It was released on June 22nd, 1977. The Rescuers entered development in 1962, but was shelved due to Walt Disney's dislike of the project's political overtones. During the 1970s, the film was revived again and was planned as a project for the younger animators. We were starting to see a change in the lead animators. Before this time, there had always been Disney's 9 old men. The 9 old men were the incredible animators who were responsible for the golden and silver era of animation. However, they were all reaching retirement age and needed to pass the baton on to a new generation. Out of the 9 old men, only 6 worked on The Rescuers. Woolie Riverman and John Lounsbury were the film's directors. Frank Thomas, Ollie Johnston and Milt Kahl were the only members still animating. As I said, this project was originally for the young animators, led by Don Bluth. It was decided that the studio would alternate between full-scale A pictures and smaller, scaled-back B pictures with simpler animation. Meanwhile, the A crew finished work on Robin Hood and were set to begin production on an adaptation of a book titled Scruffy under the direction of Ken Anderson. When Scruffy was shelved, the veteran team changed The Rescuers into a more traditional, full-scale production. The film is about the Rescue Aid Society, an international mouse organisation dedicated to helping abduction victims around the world. Cruella De Ville from 101 Dalmatians was originally considered to be the main villain, but Ollie Johnston stated that it felt wrong to attempt a sequel and the idea was dropped. This is ironic, as it ended up being the first Disney film to receive a sequel. Frank Thomas animated many characters in the film, but mainly worked on the 2 lead characters, Bernard and Bianca. Mice in Disney films before had often been comedic characters, but these characters needed to be treated as lead actors. The acting became more human in order to carry the romance of the adventure. Frank Thomas would often act out scenes himself to get a feel of how the animation should look.
Come to think of it, if I was a pirate, I wouldn't hide anything back there.
Come to think of it, if I was a pirate, I wouldn't hide anything back there.
Ollie Johnston was assigned to many characters. He supervised the animation of the orphan girl Penny and Rufus the old cat. Rufus is clearly based on Ollie, and it makes me laugh every time I see it. Ollie carried a large part of this picture with the quantity of animation he produced at a high level. He ensured that the audience felt sympathy for Penny and wished for her to be adopted. Like Frank, Ollie would also act out his scenes to get a feel of the animation. Ollie acted out a scene to get the feel of Penny walking and show her affection for Rufus.
I had a scene in Rescuers where Penny carries the cat out to go to supper. And she could have just walked out and had the cat follow her, but I wanted to show how much she liked the cat, how affectionate she felt, and how the cat felt about her. So I had her pick the cat up in a way really that practically strangles the cat, but he loves her so much he doesn't want to say anything about it. And she starts walking with him, and he starts to slip, and she has to boost him up. And it's much easier to do a walk like that than it is just a regular walk, where she has something definite she's trying to express, some emotional state.
A pigeon was originally proposed to be the transportation for Bernard and Bianca, but Ollie Johnston remembered a True Life Adventures episode that showed albatrosses and their clumsy takeoff. He thought this bird would be perfect for the character.
And then when he started to take off was where I really had the problems, trying to figure out what to do, because there was so much keen live action there where he's running along and he'd often abort the flight, just run out into the water and Zoda say, yeah, I can do this tomorrow, why bother now? And that worked pretty good, but I felt, gee, there's still something wrong here. This isn't as funny as it ought to be. And so I thought, this guy ought to be panting. He ought to be having trouble. So we put in this after the first few steps, and that started to liven it up. And I thought another thing that ought to go in there would be that you hear his feet clomping down the top of the building. So we put that in, and then it really became funny.
This was Milt Kahl's last film for the studio, and he wanted his final character to be his best. He was so insistent on perfecting Madame Medusa that he ended up doing almost all the animation for the character himself. Milt later said that he probably had more fun animating her than any other character before. The animation is incredible to watch. You can see the flab in her arms move and create some brilliant poses.
Well, Geraldine Patch is she's an absolutely magnificent actress. She has just a marvelous feeling for comedy. See, I saw quite a few of her pictures too, and there's a place in there where he tries to get near. She's on the telephone, and he tries to get near her, and she sticks her foot in his chest, you know, to keep him away from the telephone. And I always remembered that. It was an awfully cruel thing to do, and right in character with her.
Milt left the Disney Studios a bit prematurely. He was still in his top form as an animator, but he was outspoken and was very critical on the Disney management since Walt Disney passed away. This led to frustration between Milt and the management. Ever since 101 Dalmatians, animation was done using the Xerox machine. This had only been able to produce black outlines. This had been improved to become a grey tone in order to create a softer looking line. At the end of the production, it marked the last joint effort by veterans Milt Kahl, Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas. It is also the first Disney film in which Don Bluth was a directing animator. This leads to big changes in the future of Disney animation. Other animators who stepped up during production were Glenn Keane and Ron Clements, who would all play an important role in the Disney Renaissance. During the film's initial theatrical run, the film was released as a double feature with the live-action nature film, The Tale of Two Critters. The Rescuers was very successful upon its original theatrical release, earning worldwide gross rentals of $48 million at the box office. During its initial release in France, it outgrossed Star Wars, receiving admissions of 7.2 million. The film also became the highest grossing film in West Germany at the time with admissions of 9.7 million. On December 16, 1983, The Rescuers was re-released to theatres, accompanied with the new Mickey Mouse featurette, Mickey's Christmas Carol, which marked the character's first theatrical appearance in over 30 years. The Rescuers premiered on VHS and Laserdisc on September 18, 1992 as part of the Walt Disney Classics series. On January 8, 1999, 3 days after the film's second release on home video, the Walt Disney Company announced a recall of about 3.4 million copies of the videotapes. This was because of an image in one of the film's backgrounds. The image is of a topless woman. The image appears in 2 frames during the scenes in which Miss Bianca and Bernard are flying through New York City. The Rescuers' home video was reissued on March 23, 1999 with the inappropriate nudity edited out and blocked. The Rescuers was the first Disney animated film to have a sequel. The Rescuers Down Under takes place in the Australian outback and involves Bernard and Bianca trying to rescue a boy named Cody. There have been meet and greet characters of Bernard and Bianca in the Disney parks, although they're quite rare to see now. Thank you for watching, guys. I've just started a podcast on the app Stereo. If you want to come and listen, I'll talk about all things Disney with fellow Disney fanatic Andy from the Castle of Mouse. We go live on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, so come and join us. I'm Jake Lee, animator on Stereo. My next video on YouTube will be 100 facts about the Fox and the Hound. I'll see you there.